they call it they call it familiar spirits,
Mm.
and I could tell that that was a spirit that was clenching onto me when
Mm-hmm.
I was singing secular music because it was very lustful
Oh.
and it tried to rape me. It came in the form of my uncle, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Right when he was like basically doing this to me, he lifted up his hand and he was smiling, but he was mad at the same time.
Yeah.
And right when he was about to hit me, I saw the same shining light. And
Hello and welcome to Holy Culture's Artist Spotlight. Today with me is Favorite Ace. Favorite, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Did I see that we owe you a huge congratulations? Did you get baptized over the weekend?
I did yesterday. Yeah.
Yay! Is that
So
amazing?
the crazy thing is, you guys set the date the day after my baptism. So
Oh, you already knew it was gonna happen.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah. I mean your baptism, not the interview, obviously.
I did,
No,
I did.
that's awesome. That I was just scrolling through in case I didn't miss anything. And as I was like, oh, he got baptized. That's always so fun. I love
Yeah.
baptism weekend. So for our viewers, tell us who favorite Ace is.
Favorite is he is a Jamaican, um, born in Orlando. I am fairly vibesy, I guess. I I love making music. I play sports, but that's the gist of it. Pretty simple
And
guy.
pretty simple guy. Well, okay, so just a little backstory. Um,
Yeah.
I was scrolling through YouTube
Mm.
and I happened to see this like very creepy horror story type video. And I was like, what is this? Why is this on our feed right now? And then I
Mm.
see you and like I hear the beat. I was like, oh, I was like, I kind of like this. And so of course I cover it and I was like, this is like totally different. It's very big departure from what we're used to seeing. So that's why he's on here. I just had to get his backstory. So you came over from the secular world, right? You were doing
I
music before
did.
this? Okay,
I
tell us
did
about
in
that.
Jamaica. So in Jamaica, it's called Dancehall.
Okay.
So I made a song with a friend and it blew up on TikTok, right? And that started my career in dancehall. And actually, I had two songs that was trending on TikTok. So I was a slightly popular in Jamaica, I mean, in my area. I was making money and stuff, but then the crazy stuff happened and I had to change. I had to change. Do you want me to get into the story right now? I
Oh
can.
yeah. So how did you so you were in the secular world. Where did
Mhm.
Jesus find you and all that?
All right. So I'm gonna take it back to when I got a prophecy because that's very important.
Okay.
Um, when I was around, let's say 8, 9, I got a prophecy from my grandmother's pastor, and she told me that I'm going to be someone who teaches the word, preaches the word. She wasn't specific if I was supposed to be a pastor or a singer or, you know. Um, so ever since that day, I kept having weird dreams, and I kept getting a lot of spiritual attacks. At the time, I didn't know what it was. I was really scared. My mom would always tell me to pray. Um, and this would always happen in like the 3 a.m. period. I would just wake up and always waking up my mom, and I never knew what it was. But this only started happening after I got that prophecy. And when I started high school, I started singing, right? And I was like freestyling at lunchtime. And during that moment, in that period of time when I started freestyling and I was like cursing and basically talking about girls and everything, all the dreams stopped, all the spiritual attacks stopped. I never realized it until I got Christ in my life. Um, so everything stopped. I stopped getting bad dreams, and I blew up. Everything was going well until I came. I came to Orlando to visit my family that's here, and my family is a huge Christian family. So when everyone saw that I was singing secular music, they were like, "No," and they're like trying to convince me to, stop. But it was doing well, and I was making money, so I was like, I can't stop now, guys. It's
Right.
gone too far. And my uncle, he was like, you should go to church. I'm like, I don't think God wants me there. And it took some convincing, and I said, okay. One Sunday, I went to church, and the pastor, he, it wasn't the original pastor. They have, I think it was a youth pastor that preached that day, and he started talking about music, and he started talking about the influence that the music gives off to the younger generation, and it felt very specific. It felt like he was talking about me, and my uncle was looking at me like, and he was nudging me like saying, "Hey, he's talking about you." And I kid you not, he said a line that stood to me, and he said, "You are not following God's orders." And when he said that, he looked straight at me. Keep in mind, this is a huge church. Like, this is what they call like a mega church. And he started staring at me. And I was like, okay, maybe he is talking about me. And I when that service was ending, I just left. We just left. I didn't talk to the pastor or anything. But that Sunday, it was just on my mind like, hey, am I really making God mad? Um, because I did remember, that's when I remembered about the prophecy that I got. Um, I started talking to my aunt and my uncle about, hey, I got this prophecy. What should I, what should I do with it? How do I know what I should be doing? And because I don't know anything about the Bible, I don't know, I haven't been reading, so I don't really know anything. How am I supposed to teach people and preach to people? And my aunt said something that stood out to me. She said, hey, you've been having a lot of dreams and spiritual attacks. What if you're supposed to speak about that and shed light on it and shed light on people who are going through it but think they're crazy, right? So I said, okay. So that weighed on my mind. And then the following Sunday, I went to church, and it was another person preaching. This time it was a woman, and she she basically said the same thing, but this time after church, the guy that preached the previous Sunday, he stopped my uncle and was talking to him and I, and he was like just really pushing me into singing for God, and I was like, I can try, because remember, I'm coming from Jamaica where the language barrier is different. I wasn't used to making songs in like just straight up English.
Right.
It was in Jamaican Creole,
Right.
or Patois. That's what we
Mhm.
call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'm gonna try, and that's when I made "Let Me Out." And when I made that song, my uncle was like, "Yo, this is tough," and I was like, "Yeah." But what I did though, I the crazy thing about that song is not one phrase in that song was a metaphor. Like, everything I said in that song actually happened. And 3 nights after I made that song, I lo and behold, I had a dream. And this is where people start looking at me like I'm crazy. I it was like I was lifted out my body
Mm,
and I was in a white space. I can't say a room because it didn't feel like it had any ends to it. It was just think about space but white. And I was in a line and I could tell that I was in a line with other people
mm,
beside me. And we're all facing straight like this. And when I looked to the side, I could see it was like scrolls coming out of people's mouths. And I could tell it was their talents. I saw someone, I saw a whole scroll come out for someone who could play chess really well. And they were actively making deals with Satan. And when he reached me, because I could see everything, I could see him making the deals with them. And I was at the end of the line. That's the weird thing. I was at the end of the line. And when he reached me, he was looking directly at me and I was scared. I was scared because all my senses were like heightened. I could feel everything 10 times. It felt realer than this world. And he was so mad that I made that song about Let Me Out. He was so mad. It was like he didn't even care about me. He just wanted me to change the lyrics of the song. He was like, change the song, change the lyrics, change the lyrics. Do not post that. Do not post that. And I just kept saying, no, that's not gonna happen. No, no, no. And the funny thing is, through this entire conversation, he did not open his mouth, and I didn't open my mouth. It was like telepathically,
kind of.
he was
Mm,
speaking through his mind, and I just kept saying no, no, no. And then when the scroll came out of my mouth, it it only had a big no on it. It's a black no. And right after the scroll came out of my mouth, I saw this very bright light, but it wasn't bright enough to blind you. It was bright, and you know, like when you watch those cartoons and the villain is just like screaming, "No!" That's exactly what he did, and he was screaming like he was in pain. And then I just woke up. But when I woke up in my room, but I wasn't in my room. That's the best way I can explain it. It looked like my room, but I knew I wasn't in my room. And I I realized, well, hmm, they call it familiar spirits,
mm,
and I could tell that that was a spirit that was clenching onto me when
mhm.
I was singing secular music because it was very lustful
Oh.
and it tried to rape me. It came in the form of my uncle, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. And right when he was like basically doing this to me, he lifted up his hand and he was smiling, but he was mad at the same time.
Yeah.
And right when he was about to hit me, I saw the same shining light. And that's when I actually woke up and I caught myself saying no. And I felt myself in physical pain. So that's how I knew it was real. And I immediately called my grandmother. And the crazy thing is, while trying to call her, it just kept hanging up.
Mm,
It wasn't a loss of connection or anything.
mhm.
The phone just kept hanging up by itself. And so around the third time, she picked up and we were talking and she told me, keep in mind, this is around 3:30 a.m., close to 4 a.m. And she said, go into your aunt's room and wake her up. So I'm knocking on the door, asking her to wake up. So her and my uncle woke up and they were talking to me. And they showed me, he was a prophet and he was very knowledgeable about the spiritual stuff. And when I was hearing him talk, it was opening my eyes about everything that was going on in my life. And I eventually fell asleep. And that morning I woke up. It was like I was a whole different person.
Mm,
It was almost as if God showed me everything that I've done wrong, everything that led me to do the wrongful things, and I just started crying. I I just couldn't stop crying because it he showed me how he held me through
mm,
the times where I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. And he showed me the times where everything could have gone horribly wrong and he was there. And I couldn't believe that he, through me actively rebelling against him, he
mm,
still held me. He still was there for me, guiding me without me even realizing. And this might sound weird to say, but I could see how the devil was using my own parts of my own family members to reel me in to
mm,
the secular world. It's crazy. Um, so after that, I I tried telling my friends about it, and the people that I was around with at the time, but no one was believing me. No one. The only people who believed me was my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, my uncle. No one else believed me. Um, that's why I was planning to just not tell anyone because I didn't feel like I had a comfortable space or I didn't feel like anyone would ever understand me. And when I went to church after that, I was talking to a friend that I'd met at the church, and he was like, "Hey, I believe you, bro." And I was like, "Are you sure?" Because I was like, maybe he's just saying this and he's gonna go to someone else and be like, "This kid is crazy." And he was like, "No, bro, I believe you."
mm,
And I just remember almost crying in front of him, but I was like, "Nah, I can't do that. I can't do that." And I decided that I'm now going to change my life. I'm gonna stop smoking. I'm gonna stop drinking. I'm gonna stop singing these songs. I remember God telling me, it's like I could just hear His voice telling me, take down all your music. So I just took down everything. I didn't think twice. I was making money from it, but I didn't care. I took down everything. The producer that produced the my main song that got my first hit on TikTok, he was like, "You took down the song of YouTube?" I was like, "Yeah, I have no choice. I can't feed that to people. I can't let I can't lead anyone else astray because I know the consequences now. I know how real hell is." I'm like, nope, I am not adding to it. And my mom was just so happy. My mom, my aunt, they were all so happy because they were all praying for me. And I think that's that's probably the main reason why God was holding me this entire
mm.
time. Um,
So you didn't actually come to Christ till after you were set free, essentially, right?
yep, yep,
That was a story. I knew there was gonna be a story. I was like, I have to hear this kid out. But I am humbled and I'm honored that you would choose to share your story with us. Two, I think you will find yourself in pretty good company. The people of Christ
yeah,
will totally believe you. We've been there. Most of us have dreams. Yeah.
mm,
Wow. That is a crazy, crazy a wonderful at the end story. So
yes.
is that why so two questions. Is that why your Instagram is like super bare? Because I was like, I have never gone into like an
Hmm.
interview knowing so little about someone. I was like, his Instagram is bare. So is that why?
Yeah,
Because you took all your secular stuff down.
I took down everything.
Yeah.
I even took down past pictures. I just
Yeah.
took down everything. I didn't want anything out.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted the old me gone. I want people to say new me.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so I'm actually in Daytona right now. I
Okay.
moved
Hmm.
completely from Jamaica because it's almost as if I felt God saying, remove yourself from Jamaica now. Like he wants me in a new space. Don't go back there. Don't go back to like they call it your vomit.
Hmm.
Don't go back to your vomit. And
Yeah.
I was like, no
Roger
problem. That's what I'm gonna do.
And I
So
think
I'm
I
here
think
now.
too the people who are from the Caribbean, I'm from Panama, and like people who are
Mm,
from Puerto Rico, the islands, and I feel like the spiritual realm is a lot more alive, a lot more vivid, a lot more like you see it all the time. Whereas here in
yes.
America, it's kind of like hidden. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
Satan's little secret, like, ha ha ha, I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
real. But like people from like the Caribbean, like we know, we see it, the brujas and the demons and all that. It's like very tangible. That's the word I was
Yeah.
looking for. So
The
yeah.
the crazy thing in Jamaica, the biggest slang they call it is we are sinners and people just walk around saying sinful.
Hmm.
Like they just shout it out. That's a thing now. And one of the main artists in Jamaica, he has a car that has 666 on both sides and sinful on the it's crazy.
Oh,
Jamaica, I mean, it's just a culture, but it's going downhill and they have no idea what they're getting themselves into.
oh my
And I
goodness.
feel like I really want to help shed light on that. So
Hmm.
that's my
Although
mission.
I think you're in a perfect place because
Hmm.
I feel like here you have well you have this exposure now, thank God, and now you have a
Thank
space
you.
where you can collaborate with other Christian artists, and because you are from Jamaica, people already know you. So is that the reason why you have a pretty decent following on Instagram? Those were your secular fans from before?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. My Instagram was at like 400 followers before I started making music. And when my song trended, I it just went up. It just went up. So I'm
Wow.
glad though because the crazy thing is when I converted to the Christian culture, my followers were so supportive. And I was surprised because I'm like, you guys listen to secular music. You shouldn't be enjoying this. And I got DMs from people. It's crazy. I have DMs from people I see drinking a lot, addicted to drinking day and out. And they're like texting me saying, hey, I need help. Can you help me? And that's when I knew like, this is what I should be doing. I
Mhm.
should be helping my generation know that they can go to God. And not because you're young doesn't mean you should live how you want to live and just carry on however you please. You have to live for God and you have to be aware of the spiritual realm because it is very real. And I feel
Yeah.
like that is my calling to shed light on the spiritual realm
Well, praise God.
to my generation.
So for anybody who is watching, stop the video right now, right this second. Well, after I'm done telling you this, go watch "Let Me Out" by Favorite Ace. The lyrics are crazy, and just like he said, everything happened right, and it's "Let Me
Mhm.
Out," and it's talking about his spiritual battle, and then come back and then finish the rest of the story. Okay, so you are an independent artist, or did you sign with someone?
I'm independent. I
Okay.
got help from a couple of producers and a manager that managed a couple big artists in Jamaica, but I was fairly independent. I
Yeah.
never signed a paper.
Contract. And so
Yeah.
the beats are yours. Or did somebody else
Um.
produce those? Because those were
I
awesome.
I just go on YouTube and
Yeah.
I just search. I just go on YouTube and search. So like, I like this, and I just pick and then I buy the beats. So
The beat was awesome. The lyrics were so like it made me stop scrolling. So that's always what you want, right? So praise God
thank
for your
you.
story. Praise God for your testimony. And so now you're bought into the Christian hip hop
All
completely,
in,
all in.
all in. Another thing is, my plan is though, I want to just bring a little bit of the Caribbean vibe into my
Hmm,
songs.
okay.
That's gonna be something for the future, definitely. You might hear that in the next song I drop, so just prepare for that.
So speaking of your next song, what's next for you? What's your next project?
My next project, I have a song called Yahweh coming out next. It's it's basically shedding light on me dying to the old self and coming new now. And so it's instead of me questioning God like I didn't let me out, it's gonna be me praising God
Mm,
more, putting the focus on Him because I feel like that's the main thing. And after my baptism yesterday, I talked to my pastor and he was like, "Hey, remember that it is good to show people that you can ask God and you can question Him, but you need people to know that God is a loving God and He's going to answer. He is going to pull through. So do not ever let it look like you're doubting God."
mm,
So when he told me that, it really changed my perspective.
hmm.
So a lot of my projects are gonna be about just praising God.
That's awesome. Yes. God's a
Yeah.
big boy. He can take your anger, he can take your doubt, he can take all your questions. So
Hmm?
tell us in the last 30 seconds that we have left, where can people find you and where can they find your music?
You can find me on Instagram mostly at Favored Ace, but I spell it FVRD for Instagram underscore Ace. And then on YouTube, it's just Favored and Ace.
Nice.
So
Thank
yeah,
you so much for sharing your story. It was amazing and I'm sure it's going to bless so many people.
thank you for having me. I hope it does. I really hope it does.